What's going on, guys, and welcome back to our Surviving Java series yet again. I think this is now episode 51. Now, I mentioned the episode number, that's because when we first started this series, oh my god, these lines. When we first started this series, the whole aim of it was the zoo project that sort of launched the series off, where we built the main zoo building and then we built our first enclosure. But if you had probably noticed as our episodes gone on more and more, is that we've Minecraft seems to be adding mobs a lot quicker than we're actually making enclosures for them. So I decided that we're going to sort of start pushing forward more with the zoo project in mind, in order to try to catch up with how recently they're sort of releasing mobs, because although they're only releasing 2 or 3 mobs each update that they're doing, we've only made like, I think, the better part of how many enclosures? So we've got the farmstead building there, polar bear exhibit, we've got the Ravager enclosure, the spider den. We've not actually made that much. Oh, we've got the turtle sanctuary as well on the far east coast. But yeah, we are definitely lacking progress moving forward with the actual zoo project. So what I've done to make things easier is that I've actually gone and named every single piece of paper with every single mob that's still remaining for us to build exhibits for. So we've got nearly 54 in total, which is quite a lot. So this is actually going to be what we're going to be doing is every 2 or 3 episodes, depending on how frequently I want to do it, we're just going to be picking a mob at random and then making our episode based around actually building the enclosure for said mob. Now, in order to randomize this, we're going to have 6 droppers with 9 sheets in each, then feeding into another dropper. Where is all of our stuff here? So we want 1, 2 droppers, and then say some repeaters. Don't need comparators. We are going to need some buttons. Just get some redstone torches in case we need that, and then some redstone dust as well. Button wise, we want to grab a button. You can be our button. In fact, we're going to need 2 buttons. Let me grab another bit like so. So let me get over to the main zoo building, because that's where I'm going to want to set this up, and then I will bring you back. Alright, so we're just underneath the stairs of the main zoo building here, and this is where I've decided just to build this little contraption. This isn't obviously going to be a permanent feature, but it's just going to be a feature until we've got the exhibits done in whatever order. So we've got 6 droppers here, which we're going to be filling with these pieces of paper. I'm not paying attention to which ones are going into which, so I don't know the sort of randomness that it's going to be. So it's got oh, we don't want a bed in there. It's going to have a pretty high random, because it's going to be 1 out of every 9. Oh my god, this bed. 1 out of every 9 of these droppers, and then it's going to be 1 out of 9 of the second dropper. So I have absolutely no control over what we get stuck with. There are a few where I'm sort of dreading if they come up, because obviously some are going to be much bigger projects than others. So there are some that I'm sort of silently wishing not for, because I know just how much of a nightmare they'll be. But like I said, it's not going to be within our control to sort of pick and choose, which is how I want it. Let's put all of this stuff away. So we've got a button here, so if we press this, we should have 9 bits of paper make their way into this one here. Or 6? Oh no, it is 6, yeah, because there's 9 in each dropper, so it's only 6. And then we've got this one here, which is going to be, oh my god, this one's going to suck so hard. Bats. Now, the reason why this one's going to suck so hard is because you can't put a lead on bats, and you can't really tame them. So you have to sort of, the only way that I can think of doing it is that we have to sort of build an enclosure that they're going to spawn in naturally, and then name tag them to stop them from despawning. But it does mean that we're going to have to build some sort of like a bat cave, And like, rather than building it miles off away from anything else and then having to run another pathway half a mile away, what we are going to do, we're going to pick and choose a point along one of the already pre-existing paths in order to build this. There is a little mountainside bit either side of this pathway here, which is just up towards Cloud space, which we could actually put the bats in. We can make a, well, I think we could probably make a decent looking little like bat cave over there. Let me grab these guys. Let me grab some resources as well. I don't know what resources I'm going to need to build out of, but I've got a couple of empty shulkers here, and we may as well collect some resources from here whilst we are over here. So yeah, let me grab some bits and pieces, and then I'll meet you over that little bit, and we can decide over... Oh, hello. Oh, you are, mate. We can decide whether or not we want to have it over there or not. Whether or not it's going to be like a big enough thing for us or not is another question. So yeah, let me grab some bits and pieces and I'll meet you over there. Alright, so over here in this little gap, it sort of cuts through either side of a hill, and if we go into like free cam mode, it's not much of a hill on this side, but on this side it's not terrible, and we could sort of dig a staircase coming down underneath the ground here, and we've got a decent amount of clearing with nothing in the way, which I think could be a decent little sort of back cave. And then I could sort of open this bit up and make it an actual sort of like cave-ish sort of entrance. But how we're going to get bats to spawn in there, I think it's going to be one of them proximity things that we're going to have to keep a dark area where hostile mobs can't spawn, and we're just going to have to sort of wait and pray and then get a bunch of name tags and just hope that they sort of spawn in there. But I don't know how or what the requirements are for that spawning. I do know that they're spawning in my base non-stop, but if we can't transport them, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. We have actually got like just a ridiculous amount of random different resources. We've also got some cobble and some normal stone. Grabbed a bunch of cobble deep slate. We've got some glass there. We've got some normal deep slate. I'm thinking like a sort of deep slate inner section of the cave and then sort of stone on the outer section, because it is not too far from actually like Cloud space, which is just over here. Just over here, so I don't really want to make it look too obscene. And because it's bats and I'm not planning on having like 300 bats in a hole, it shouldn't actually be any sort of issue when it comes to sort of lag in any way. Let's open you up just a little bit more. So we do one of these. So yeah, this is going to be a bit of a mission. What I'm going to do is I'm going to probably jump into a time lapse of me building it, because otherwise there's going to be a lot of me umming and ahhing. Let's get rid of you, and we are going to have to get rid of you, probably move you actually. So yeah, let's jump into a time lapse of me actually building this, otherwise it's going to be a while for you listening to me go I should just do like a sound cut of me making them noises really, and just play that over me actually building, because I'm fairly sure that is exactly how it is going to sound. Let's put you back over here. That should be decent enough, and then probably want to take this back probably one more. Yeah, okay, let's jump into the time lapse. Catch you back in a sec. Alright, so I did actually attempt to use just deep slate, and I done like a patch of it which was up in this corner here as I was coming in, and doing it just out of deep slate. I realised after I started placing the blocks, thinking, well, if the entire back end is sort of like a really dark mottled grey and light black sort of colour, you're not really going to be able to see the bats. So I sort of went against that, and I've gone for the sort of worn and mossy, and then I added some dripstone just to make it look more sort of bat cave-ish. And what we are going to have to do before we get rid of these torches, prevent mobs from spawning here, is just put some temporary carpet. Now, although there's no lighting inside the actual sides, so once I've got rid of these torches, you're not really going to be able to see much at all in there. I will be placing lighting in after I've name tagged some of the bats that will hopefully spawn. I have also added a little water feature. I do not know if bats can kill themselves in said water features or not, so that is going to be something that we're going to be testing. But nevertheless, if we go and open this, we want to make sure that we don't get any sort of mob spawns, so let's just carpet in here as well. I've got doorways leading either side, and I've got them being iron doors with buttons, so that way we're able to get in and name tag them without the risk of them flying out and away, because obviously it's a lot harder for them to get out of iron doors than it is going to be normal doors. So what I have got is 2 full stacks of scaffolding on me, and we're just going to be scaffolding directly up to unload the caves underneath, and then hopefully sort of trigger and force some spawns of bats inside these actual rooms. I don't know what the maximum number of bats that can spawn, and I don't know if you name tag them, if it takes them out of the spawn cap for that mob. Like I said, I know very little when it comes to the bat spawning mechanics, so what we are going to do is go up the 428 blocks. I do realise that I think you have to have solid blocks above them for them to spawn, because obviously we're not getting thousands and thousands of bats spawning in the overworld on like above ground when it's night time, so I don't think that's going to be an issue. I think there has to be a what would it be classed as? The natural rock type, so like andesite, granite, diorite, stone, deep slate. I'm assuming one of them blocks have to be above a spot that is below like light level, say 3 or 2, that would then allow bats to spawn. I have half slabbed the entire floor in either side. I don't know if that's going to prevent bats from spawning or not. I'm hoping it doesn't. Like, we get bats spawning quite a lot in our caves where our base is. Now we can just use our free cam to keep an eye on it just to see if we get any spawns, but whether or not it's going to be immediate, or it's going to be something we're going to be testing back and forth, or it's going to be something I'm going to end up having to look up the sort of spawn rates as to how they spawn, because whether or not I've got this correct or not, like I don't know if it has to be below a certain Y level, because if it does, then I've pretty much screwed myself, and we can probably utilise this room for a different one, because if it is below a certain Y level, which is now what I'm considering may be a thing, so let me quickly look up just to see what bat spawning rules are, and I'll come back in just 1 second. Okay, so I've got the spawning rules up according to the fandom page. It says bats can spawn in groups of 8 in the overworld at a light level of 3 or less on opaque blocks below level 63, which means we are around about 4 or 5 layers above that requirement. So we can probably still use this if I dig this down quite a few more layers, like maybe down to like here, level 61 I think should do, which is unfortunate because it means more building, well, more digging, and I've already put the beacon away and I've half slabbed, but then again I'm assuming that with the opaque block rule, I don't think half slabs are considered an opaque block, so whether or not they could spawn above half slabs, or if I'm just going to have to risk mob spawning killed off the mobs before name tagging bats, and I don't even know if you can name tag bats, which is the worst thing of all of this because I've not actually attempted to name tag a bat. But nevertheless, I'm going to hop down off of my perch and then dig that down like another good few more layers, and hopefully that will trigger some bats to actually spawn, because we're getting nada at the moment. So yeah, guess I'll catch you back in a bit. Alright, so both sides are now dug down to, I think it's like layer 50 something. Let me just double check. Layer 59, which is 4 layers below what the fandom tells me that it needs to be. Whether or not I'm going to be screwed over by listening to what the fandom pages say or not, because they seem to have screwed me over quite a lot in the past, so I'm not holding out high hopes that this will actually work. But I did get rid of Steve, because Steve was still AFK over at my base, and obviously my base being as big a cave as it is, obviously bats are going to be spawning there, and if there are bats there already, it's going to be taking up the service hall mob cap for bats otherwise. So hopefully getting rid of him will encourage bats to spawn here. Now, because obviously 128 blocks away, I don't know if they stick to the same spawning rules as normal mobs, which means I may just go to the top of here and knock down, say, like 32 of the scaffolding, just to bring myself a little bit lower to the ground of where I've dug it down to, and that way it's not outside of the spawn range. But what we'll do is go up here and go into free cam, have a look to see if anything's spawning or not, and it could just be a case of me knocking down a bit of the scaffolding, waiting, knocking down the scaffolding, waiting. Oh, the fun and games when you're trying to do enclosures for mobs that you have no idea about their spawning algorithms in any way, shape or form. Yeah, so it's just a case of sort of like waiting and seeing if anything spawns. Like, that is 50 odd, and I can't see any bats. There are, oh wow, there's a whole bunch of zombies carrying stuff. I'm gonna have to go down there and sort that out. I didn't realise that there's so many like zombies around here. There's tons of them stuck in the webs as well, all holding bones and arrows, and yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to take care of that. So obviously it's like where Cloud's active in this area, mobs spawn and then other mobs sort of die in like the walls and glitchiness, then they pick up their drops. So it's a common occurrence that this sort of thing happens. I thought that they fixed that though. I may just run a command just to get rid of any zombies holding items in vicinity around me. But nevertheless, that's not exactly what we're here to. I completely lost where we were. We're over here. We're waiting for bats is what we was doing. So yeah, I'm going to sort of hang about, knock down some scaffolding, and then see if it does any better. So just get the scaffolding on my hotbar. Say 25 first of all. See if that's had any effect. And then we could just sort of go down in increments of 5. Right. Okay, so we have actually got some bats, which is happy days, but on the bad side, we've also got a whole ton of mobs, and wow, we've got a lot of bats on this side, which is fantastic. So let's go down here. Now is the hello spider. Now is the thing whether or not you can actually name tag bats or not. So I've got a bad feeling that the Skelly is going to kill a bunch of these. Okay, so no. Don't shoot the bats. Okay, Skelly down. Ouch. Oh god. Really? I just want to get rid of the skellies. Don't kill the bats. Okay. Come on. Ow. Ow. Stop it. Oh my god. I killed another one. And another one. And he's put on the bat head. He's Batman. How is it? God's sake. You almost killed me. Okay. You can just get us. Seriously? Did that one just like magically spawn right next to him? So we've still got 4 bats out of I don't know how many. We've also got a bat head. Now comes the thing whether or not we can actually name tag bats. Oh, yes you can. The bad thing is it's going to be whether or not I've name tagged the same one or not. I'm naming them all Batman, by the way. Just in case you're wondering. Also, I know that it's probably like really hard for you to see. So let's do this. You have got a name. You haven't. Now you have. Oh. Have you got a name? I don't think that one's got a name. Batman. There we go. Hey, so we've got 4 on this side. 1, 2. Okay, apparently we've got 5 on this side. Okay, you haven't been named. Oh my god. Have you? Yes, you have. You have not. Dude, can you just stop for 1 second, please? Oh, come on. There we go. Okay, got him. Probably one of the worst mobs that could have been randomly selected for me. But what I will do is, after I've got some bats on the other side, hopefully by having some torches here, it will sort of stop them from spawning on that side. We have got, oh wow, we actually have got quite a few on this side as well, which is awesome. I will be sort of like filling in the layers bit by bit. Oh no, you know what? The creepers can actually come up the ladders. No. Okay, we should be actually alright. As long as there's no skellies here shooting creepers to make them blow up. Come on. And then it's the case of running around. Oh my god. Case of running around and trying to name them again, which is always the fun part. Okay, get rid of you. There we go. Okay, we've got 1 creeper just. Ah, god damn it. Come on. Yes, got him. Zombie villager head though, which is pretty cool. Okay, we want to get some light down here. Do that. Oh my god, there's loads of them. Okay, I got 2, 3. Oh, I just named him twice. Oh my god. I do apologise, it must be so annoying watching my camera sort of swing around, but these guys are so sporadic in their movements that it's hard to do this otherwise. There we go, that one's named, that one's already named. I just named him again. Well, it looks like we're only going to have 4 on this side, if I manage to name one that's not already been named. There we go. Oh, okay, so we've got a bunch of bats on either side now. Just happy days. So what I'm going to do is bring the layers back up to, say, around about here. And I'm just going to bring them up layer by layer. It's good though, because this is what I want. I want them sort of just to perch on the ceiling. And that way we're going to put in some lighting as well. So it looks like we're going to be jumping into another bit of a time lapse while I finish this off in some relatively decent time, hopefully. But yeah, we've managed to get bats and their name tag. Alright, so I think we are actually done with this nuisance of a project. I was dreading having one like this. I was hoping for, honestly, like there was probably 3 or 4 that I was hoping for. One being ocelots, very easy. Pandas, other than the breeding, so I'd want to get one of each type, like the brown one, the snotty one, the angry one, the happy one, the playful one, and whatnot. So it would be a little bit more breeding, but the habitat that you build for it would have been a lot easier. Axolotls would have been a really easy one. Frogs would have been a really easy one. But yeah, bats was just on my list. It was probably just a little bit lower than something like the ghast. I would hate to have to sort of trap a ghast or shulker. Shulker's one I'm dreading, trying to get all the way over here as well. But we now have actually got bats and a little enclosure for them. I will probably work on this entrance a little bit more in between episodes. Probably put the bat's head that I've got here just somewhere up here or next to a little stand, just so you know it's the little bat cave. I also do need to patch up this pathway and reconnect it. And yeah, I think that's probably going to do it for today's episode. We've got a bunch of bats now in our enclosure. That's another one off of our list, thank God. We now only have 52 more mobs that we need to build enclosures for. I will also let Clowd know that that little contraption is underneath the stairs at the main zoo building, just so if he's sort of umming and ahhing as to what enclosure he would like to work on, he could then go and press a button over there and try his luck to see if he ends up getting one that's just as a nightmare as this one. Like, it wasn't that difficult, and had I known the spawning conditions, I really should have checked that before like picking up my beacon that I had down for the digging. Then it would have been a lot quicker and a lot easier because I would have dug it down to the right level. I've left it at level 62 with then half slabs on top, so that way we're not going to get mobs spawning, but there's still the rare chance that bats can spawn. Apparently on Halloween as well, there's like a week around Halloween that bats can then spawn in levels, I think it's like level 6 and below, while normally it's like level 1 and below that they're able to spawn in. But we've got some lighting up there on either side. We've now got our little bat friends that's hanging upside down. So yeah, I'm quite happy with the build itself. Definitely happy I didn't go with the deep slate, because imagine that behind everything where the bats are. There's no way you'd actually be able to see the bats clearly. So I'm thinking that the stone was probably the right choice, and it actually blends in well with the pathway that we've got going on. So nevertheless, that is probably going to do it for today's episode. It was very zoo themed heavy, but hopefully you enjoyed it nonetheless, and it's now one more mob off of our list. And next episode, hopefully we'll get into something. Oh, there's some of my scaffold. Hopefully next episode we'll get into a bit more sort of redstone-y, either redstone farms or a different area to work in, and then we'll revisit the zoo project once another couple of episodes have gone by. Is that all of it? I'm trying to do this in third person view, trying to get the scaffolding for it despawns. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed today's episode, and hopefully I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye bye.